Welcome to Not Just a Transaction, a podcast series hosted by experienced real estate authorities Nick Prefontaine and Zachary Beach. In each episode, the hosts bring you expert guests to help you navigate the many creative options available for buying or selling a home, while cutting out the costly hurdles of a conventional real estate deal. Hi, and good afternoon to all you listeners out there. This is Nick Prefontaine and my wonderful co-host, Zachary Beach. We're coming at you with another episode of Not Just a Transaction podcast, where we go into detail why every transaction is not just a transaction to us. The ins and the outs, so to speak. And today I think we're going to be covering who is the ideal seller that we work with. What are the common problems that we help people solve? Is that accurate, Zach?
Yeah, you're right, Nick. The more handsome, better half here on the podcast. I want to speak to and go into depth, maybe some attributes of some common sellers that we work with and have had very successful relationships with. And if I don't nail it on the head, say you're a seller out there and I don't nail it on the head of exactly who you are, and you still have questions because you may not nail it on the head, I would love for you to just go to prepropertysolutions.com and go to the contact us form, because I'd love to have an in-depth conversation with you and see if any of our options can potentially help you. Because what we're here to do is we're here to solve challenges and get buyers and sellers to the finish line. All right, let's dive in. I always wear my seller's hat. So looking at the common sellers that we help, it tends to fall in about two categories. I'm just going to cover kind of the top line, then we'll dig deep into them as well. And the two common challenges that we help solve are a financial challenge and a real estate challenge. And let me tell you what I mean by both of those. A real estate challenge is somebody who is not necessarily in a financial strain, but has a piece of real estate and cannot sell it, or is choosing not to sell it on the traditional market. So this could be somebody who has multiple homes and that they just don't want to take care of them. These homes could be free and clear, meaning there could be no mortgage on the property, or this home could have a mortgage on it. And I've helped out, or we've helped many sellers in this situation because of the options that we provide can make an easy transition for us to start taking over full responsibilities of the property. So that'd be number one. Number two is somebody that maybe has a second home or has relocated or is a tired landlord. We've worked with many other investors over the course of, over the past 6-8 years now. I'm starting to date myself. That are just tired of being landlords, and they have a fantastic property and they still want to treat it as an asset or as an investment. So some of our options like owner financing or lease purchases can still get them their end outcome of not being a landlord, but still taking advantage of using the asset to produce wealth. So that tends to be people with real estate challenges. So again, anybody that has a piece of real estate that just for whatever reason or another either chooses not to sell it on the traditional market or has been on the traditional market before and has been kind of pushed out the other side, and that market has not provided them a solution. Let's talk about the second challenge, a financial challenge. This tends to be, I say the less pretty one, but we help out many people in this position as well. And it's unfortunate too, that I've come across many people in which we could have helped with a financial challenge, but it was too late. So I know that there can be you can be uncomfortable when you're working through some of these challenges. So I really hope that even if you are uncomfortable and you're hearing this podcast, that you still reach out to us and we still can have a conversation. As I would hate for us to be able to help you and then it coming too late and we can no longer, the time is kind of ticked away. So let me speak to this as well. And it's major right now if you're listening to this podcast during, this COVID epidemic. So there are, I think it's roughly 7 million people that are in default right now of their mortgage, which is absolutely insane. And that number is increasing by the day. And a lot of people out there that are defaulting have equity in their home. They've worked really hard to increase that equity in their property. And because they're in a default, they're not going to be able to refinance their property, which means they're not going to be able to pull out the equity. You're going to essentially lose. You could be one of these people that are going to essentially lose the equity in their property because they weren't able to either catch up on the arrears or manage this default. And I'm here to tell you that I can certainly help you, or I'd love to at least have the conversation to see if we can help you. And because some of our options are going to be able to catch up those arrears that you're in, or to be able to manage that default, and then us be able to take over responsibilities of the property, so that way you do not have to continue to make payments on this property or continue to slip further and further behind. So if that is you, please, we want to help. Let's talk about people that have second homes, but similar to maybe a financial strain, where they have a second home, but maybe they're not as in dire need of selling it. I'm talking about somebody who has a second home that at 2 mortgages right now is starting to wear mentally and physically at their bank accounts and emotionally on themselves. So we can certainly help you with that. These could include vacant or currently a property that you're staying in. So if it's vacant, then usually time is of the essence, and we want to speak to you a lot sooner. And then let's talk about somebody who has little to no equity in their property. Meaning, if you go and sell your property traditionally right now, you're going to have to come out of pocket in order to pay a realtor and how to pay closing costs. So I'm here to tell you that we have options in which you can, at a bare minimum, break even, so that way you're not coming out of pocket and you can relieve yourself of this property. So that's just to name a few of the different challenges that we've helped, but those tend to be very common in sellers I speak to on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. Nick, anything to add? Maybe from the buyer side, and kind of speak to these sellers on how we're able to help solve these challenges, but more importantly, how we're able to get these sellers to the finish line because our buyers are helping us solve these challenges.
Yeah, I think a couple of important points that I want to mention here. And I think it's really important for all you sellers out there to hear that our buyers, the people that we work with, are being able to get to the finish line. And to the finish line for us means that they're able to get a loan and cash out on the property. Just found out right before this call, we have another one that just closed today. And then yesterday I found out that the lender told me she's going to be able to put another couple deals, rent-to-home buyers through and get them to the closing table. So what we have here at Pre-Property Solutions, this process that we put all these buyers through, even though it's very difficult right now, and I understand a lot of the people out there with COVID are experiencing challenges, and might even be a health challenge. If it's not a financial or a property challenge, it may even be a health challenge. I understand that. However, we're, if anything, thriving right now. And I think it's because of our system and our processes that is allowing us to still be able to achieve success, especially with our buyers. Because if you think of it, our standard is up here. In the past, buyers could easily go in and get a loan for down here. They're not as strict as we are, lenders that is. now with COVID, with the coronavirus going on, lenders have raised their standards. Now, they've raised their standards, but they still don't surpass ours. That's why we're seeing that we're able to get buyers to the finish line, especially now, even with everything going on. So I think that's an important point, Zach, for all the listeners out there and the sellers out there wondering, well, rent to own, does this really work?
I love it, Nick. To wrap this thing up, basically, if you're a seller and you don't need all of your equity today in order to move, or you're in a position where you're dealing with one of these real estate or financial challenges, we're here to help. We can help. And we are on the backside getting these buyers all the way to the finish line. So that way, each and every one of us is reaching towards that end goal of helping you sell the property, sellers, and helping buyers become the homeowners. So we would love to speak with you, whether you're on the buyer or seller side. Just head on over to propertysolutions.com and go to the contact us button, and Nick or I will be hopping on the phone with you and going over in-depth conversation to see if we can help. Everybody have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next week.
We'll talk to you soon, hopefully. We'll be talking to you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not Just a Transaction. If you want to explore selling a home, buying a home, or resources to learn more, go to prepropertysolutions.com.